So yesterday we spoke about multiple things, that how do we deploy an application using ARM template using CI/CD pipeline. Then we spoke about pipeline variables. How do we define pipeline variables? Then then we went through some YAML basic, like what is data serialization and what is YAML. Okay, so that is something we saw till now. Now today we'll take this more further and we'll understand some basic syntax of YAML. So basically whatever syntax I will show you guys, that is the same set of syntax we will be using in a build and the release pipeline when you start writing build and release pipeline using YAML. So YAML is nothing but it's a data serialization language. It's a way, YAML is written in very simple English, which is very easy for humans to understand and to read and write. Okay, let's understand some basic syntax of YAML. So YAML supports mapping. Mapping is nothing but dictionary key value, wherein you will have a key and you will have a value. Okay, important things to note in YAML. YAML does not support tab completion, and it is case sensitive and space sensitive both. Okay, so note again, it's mentioned over here, note the space, it is very crucial in YAML. Unlike in JSON and XML, in YAML you need to take care of the space. Now if you see the key followed by a semicolon, and over here there's one space and the value is defined. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind whenever you are defining any key value pair in YAML. This is how it should be defined. It is starting with 3 dashes. What exactly these dashes is, I'll talk about that in a minute. But just focus on the key. We got name, there's one space and the name is given over here. We got the age, one space, and the age is given over here. Location and Mumbai. Now how exactly this is written in a notepad, let me show you. So starting with YAML, it always starts with 3 dashes. This 3 dashes is completely optional, guys. Now why exactly are we using these 3 dashes? Let's understand that first. Whenever you start your YAML, and if you put these 3 dashes, that becomes the start of your YAML script. Okay, like suppose you in one file you got multiple YAML scripts. So in that cases you need to have 3 dashes. Like so suppose you have a script over here, first script, name Rohit, age this, location. So basically what I'm doing, I'm writing a YAML file Mumbai. Okay, this way. Now I want to write one more YAML. This is one YAML, for example. Now if I want to write one more YAML file within one more YAML script within the same file, I'll again have to give 3 dashes. Again I have to give a different name, Bob, age, whatever Bob has, location, something like this. Now if you have multiple YAML scripts inside the same file, then you will segregate that with these 3 dashes. YAML will read this line of code from line 1 till line 5 as one script. Then from line 7 to line 11, it will read this as one script. Okay. And if suppose there's no such requirement, you have just one script. So there's no need of these dashes and all this. Even though if you keep it, there's no harm. But if it's just one YAML file, YAML script, then there's no need of those dashes. Okay. Just take care of the spaces. Whether you put the dash or whether you do not put the dash, that doesn't matter. If you want to segregate multiple YAML script within the same file, then you will put the dashes. Okay, keep that in mind. And this is what key value pair is in YAML. And this syntax you'll be using a lot. This particular syntax mapping values you'll be using a lot when you start writing your YAML file. Keep this in mind. Okay, followed by YAML also supports data types like strings, characters, integers, floating values, and collection like arrays, lists that are constructed from the basic data types. So these are the data types which is supported by YAML. If you see this, this is a string. Under inverted comma, this is a string value. This is a Boolean value. So it supports true and false. It's also support floating values. Floating values, decimal values. It's also support null values. And it also supports integers. Okay. So basic data types are also supported by YAML. These are also, if you want to define a list in YAML, this is how you will be defining a list of items. For example, if you want to define list of items in YAML, like you want to define list of fruits. Okay, so yeah, apple, starting with a dash, give a space, apple, come down, give a dash, again mango, again. This is how you will be defining list of fruits. Now over here, banana. Okay, this is how you will be defining list of fruits. Now if you want to have some values to your fruits, now this is list. If you want to define list in YAML, this is how the list is defined in YAML. Now if you want to add some values like apple calories, you want to add like how much calories, what is the price of apple, and all this feature kind of thing if you want to add to apple. So then you will come down and give two spaces. After a, there's two space, 1 2. Now you can define calories. So this is calories becomes key value. The calories is suppose 100k. Your price, apple price is whatever price it is, 100 kg, 100 rupees per kg. This is very cheap, 250 rupees per kg. Okay, energy, all this if you want to have, then this is how you'll be, just say 20 gram, 20 kcal, kilocalories. This is if you want to have sub values, some features added to your apple. So these properties which you're defining, these properties belongs to apple. Now how do you know? Because of these two spaces. Now the apple become parent and these properties become child. Just because of these two spaces, YAML understand this as a child. If I make this, remove these spaces, and if I make it apple and calories, now this calorie does not belongs to apple. Just keep that in mind. This is in same line with apple. So this calories is independent now. If you give two spaces, then it becomes child. Now these values become child of apple. That is what given over here. Apple, this is how you will be defining list. Now this is nested list. So you are giving value of student John and you're defining John's hobbies right now in this as a list. John like music, reading, dancing. Okay. So this is become nested list. Now nested dictionary, this is very similar example of nested dictionary which I showed you on my notepad. This is again a simpler example of this is your list. These are key value pair and a nested dictionary comes over here like fruits. You're defining fruits. Now the fruit becomes over here, it becomes the key and all this thing becomes the value. The list of fruit, you got apple, so this becomes the value for fruits. This is what is nested dictionary over here. You got student 2 father name is Gray, mother name is Wine, and subject details are given over here as a key value pair. Subject 1, subject 2. Two spaces is constant, Prashant. Yes, that's correct. So in YAML, you need to keep a practice of giving two spaces. Whenever you're working with YAML, you need to keep a practice. Whenever you're defining a child values, okay, child properties, then make sure to give two spaces. With dictionary, it is one space. With list, after a dash, it's also one space over here. But whenever you're defining a child, then make sure to give two spaces. If you follow this, strategy, you will never get YAML indentation error. Okay. In nested, when you're defining nested, if you see over here closely, this is two spaces over here. Okay, let me show you nested example. Let's remove this. Have a car. Let's have list of car defined. Car. Now model. I can have one space also. So see, spacing is up to you. If you're giving one space, then you need to maintain, you need to remember that you have given one space and you need to maintain that one space throughout. Okay. But always a good practice to give two spaces. It is always recommended to give two spaces. Okay. But yeah, if you are maintaining one space throughout, then even though if you maintain one space, YAML will not give you error. But just make sure that if you're giving one space everywhere, give one space throughout your script. If you're giving one space somewhere and then giving two space, then it is not accepted. So make sure to have, if you're giving two space, give two space. If you're giving one space, give one space. It's better to stick with two space policy. Okay. So for here, this is how I'm defining dictionary model. Like suppose this is a Mahindra's car. Version, just think of XUV 700. Now in this XUV 700, if you want to add multiple list of features, like I have features, something like this, features, now I can give a list. It is supporting ADAS, it is automatic, and all these features. This is what I'm doing. This become nested now. This is your dictionary key, and all these are values followed by key value. Nested dictionary, along with you have nested list inside this, which is, this is how things, this is the format which you're seeing right now. This is the exact same format we'll be using in our build pipeline. This is how we will be defining the build pipelines. Okay. Now if you see the spacing, I've started following the two space policy over here, and I have had the same two space policy everywhere. Now with this list, this is one space. But if I'm having a one space policy, then I have to make sure everything is one space. This is, even this is right. If you see this, even this is right. But always keep a practice of giving two spaces. Okay, keep that in mind. So this is what nested dictionary will look like. Okay, you got nested list, nested list, nested dictionary. Now don't worry guys, I have this examples written in a notepad which I will be sharing with you guys, and I'll be sharing this PPT also with you all, which you can keep it for your reference. Now let's go back to your Visual Studio Code and let's write our first YAML script. Okay, now before that, let's go to our project. Okay, let's go to a build pipeline. Now this was my build pipeline. Okay, this is my build pipeline. This same build pipeline, the list of tasks, what you see over here, this is written in Classic. Now this, we need to convert the same task into YAML. How do we do it? For that, I think we have cloned, correct? This is our repo. Okay. In this, I'll write the YAML also now. I'll open a Visual Studio Code. This time we'll be using a Visual Studio Code, guys. And remember, whatever syntax, basic syntax I showed you, the list, the key value pair, we'll be using the same thing. Nothing alien, nothing different. That is the same concept, and we'll be using the same syntax, and using the same syntax, I'll be creating my pipelines. Okay, so in this, let me open that folder first. Valaxy Web, this is my application. Inside the same repository, I'm creating my YAML, guys. The reason I'm creating in the same repository so that once the YAML is created, I can push to my remote repository. That's it. I got it. Now what I can do at this level itself, I'll be creating, remove this welcome. I'll be creating a file. I'll name it as Azure pipelines dot YML. I can have it as dot YML. I can have it as, they are not YML. I can have it as dot YAML. It's up to you how you want to. It's one of the same thing. Okay, Azure pipelines dot YAML. Now there is a plugin which I set to you, correct? Which was a plugin? Let's go back to your extension. Now do you see this plugin Azure Pipelines? This is the plugin which will be required. Which this plugin will basically help you with syntax highlighting, IntelliSense, and many more. So basically, whenever it will automatically pop up the syntax because it will be very difficult for you to remember all the syntax while writing the YAML script, guys. So yeah, so this will automatically get you those syntax. It will do the indentation. It will do the validation for you if you by mistakenly given any extra spaces, anything as such. Everything will be. It has IntelliSense in it, inbuilt IntelliSense, which will do such validations for you. Okay, so this is again, this extension is from Microsoft itself. We are not using any third party. So no, if even though if you're using this plugin inside your company, they will not say no to you because this is, you're using it from Microsoft. Okay, now this is the plugin which will be required in order to work with and write your YAML script using Visual Studio Code. Okay, make sure to have this plugin installed. Once installed, close your Visual Studio window and try to open it again. Then it will be implemented. Sometime what happens on the run, it is not accepting. So once it is installed, close your Visual Studio, open it again. Okay, are we good till here, guys? Can we start writing the first YAML script? Anyone has any question? These were just prerequisite. Okay, now let's go and start writing the first YAML script. Okay, now before I go, I'll just take the reference from this classic pipeline which we have written. We'll take that reference and we'll start the pipeline. Okay, no questions till now? Okay, if there's no question, let's go and create the pipeline. Okay, what did we do over here? In the pipeline, we got something called agent pool defined. Prior to agent pool, we got some trigger. Let's talk from here, from the get source command. Over here, we have set a trigger on the develop branch. Like whenever there's a change in my develop branch, this build pipeline should run, correct? That is something we have defined over here. How do we define the same thing in YAML? If you want to give this 3 dash, guys, then you're completely free to do it. I will not give this 3 dash because I'll not be using multiple scripts inside the file. I'll be writing just one script and I'll be just implementing that one script. So for me, this 3 dash is not required, but this is, even though if I give it, there's no harm. Just keep that in mind. So how do I set up trigger? So you just need to write trigger. Why I'm not getting the output? Just write trigger. Okay, come down. Now trigger could be set as multiple triggers, a list. You can set up trigger for your main branch. You can set up trigger for your release branch. You can even set up triggers for other branches. Plus there are other things, include, exclude, which you can set up in triggers. So what this is a list, correct? I can have multiple triggers set up. Like for me, I'm setting up develop branch. This is what I have done in over here. The trigger is set for the develop branch. So taking the source as a develop branch. I can also have trigger set for main branch. So that's why it's a list. Now if you see, I'm setting up trigger. as a list over here. Okay, what is second thing? You got, if you come down over here, you got agent pool. What is the agent pool? Azure pipelines, correct? And what you're using, Windows machine over here. So how do we define agent pool in YAML? So this is nothing but it's pool. Laptop is slow today. It's pool, and if you come down, your pool is key value, correct? You're using a specification agent specification Windows 2019. So how do you define Windows 2019 in YAML? It is with VM image. I should get suggestions, guys, over here. I think I need to restart my Visual Studio. I'm not getting the suggestion right now, but you should get suggestion whenever you're defining something. Okay, so I can have Windows 2019 written over here, hyphen 2019. This is how it is written. Let me go verify. Windows hyphen 2019. So even this is good. Okay, now I got list of tasks. Now I got list of tasks defined. I got NuGet installer. I got NuGet restore. I got build solution. So I got around 5 tasks. How do I define this task inside my YAML? So this is list steps, basically. Steps, list of steps which you will be defining. The first, when we define list, how do we define? Dash, correct? This is how we'll define list. What is the first task? NuGet installer. So I'll name it as task. This is my first task. NuGet installer. This is the task which I want. I want to install latest NuGet. Okay. So I can just do NuGet. Not getting suggestion. Wait, let me change the language. Let me close and reopen Visual Studio, guys. And even a pipeline namings, you can keep any namings, guys. Azure hyphen pipeline. This is standard what we use. If you want to have some other name, even that is okay. That's totally fine. Just make sure it is ending with .yaml or .yml at least. Rest, if you want to give any other name, even that is fine. But this is what standard we use, Azure hyphen pipeline.yaml. Unlike in AWS, there is a specific name build spec.yaml which you need to give. Azure does not have any such criteria. Even in AWS, there is a way out of giving a different name, but that name needs to be defined. Okay, this looks good. Now let me see if I'm getting the output. No suggestion. No worries. Let me write the task. In your case, you should get suggestion, guys. I think I have some issues with my installer right now. Okay, so this is the task which needs to be executed. NuGet tool installer at 1. So this is what basically will do. It will go and run this similar task over here. Okay, now this will go and get you the latest version. Now if you want to have some specific version, you can have a inputs defined. Like you can have something like inputs defined. If you want to have specific versions like this, then you can have the version defined. If you want to have a specific version like 4.1.1, whatever you want. Or if I just leave this as it is, if I don't define this inputs, what will happen? It will automatically go and get me the latest version. So this was your first task. Now there's a second task, NuGet restore. Okay, now this NuGet restore needs to run. So NuGet, there's a command called NuGet restore. So basically there's a second task which you want to execute. Again, key value. So this is NuGet command. NuGet, make typo. Wait, let me just reinstall the extension once. I'm just reloading the extension again. Just give me. Done. Let me see if I'm getting the outputs. See, I'm getting the output now. This is what I wanted. The suggestion. Because it's very difficult to remember all this. Now we are getting the suggestion NuGet. So I need to run a NuGet command. So there is something called NuGet command over here. Okay, this is what we want. Now NuGet command, if you go and see your classic, it is accepting restore. There is a command which we need to run NuGet restore. So it's an what exactly it is taking inputs. What inputs? There is something called restore I need to do. Restore solution. And you need to give your basically your application solution file will come over here. So where is your application solution file? It is there in your Valaxy DevOps. Over here, there is a solution file. Correct. This is the one which is we want. Correct. I'll just go and put the solution path over here this way. But this way it will not work, guys. This thing will not work over here. So this is something I'll change it later. Don't worry, for now I'll just keep it as it is. Okay, there's a question, how do we remember the syntax? You don't need to remember, Prashant. That's why we are using this plugin, because it will not be possible to remember all the syntax. But once you start using it, once you start building your pipelines n number of times, this becomes your daily activity. You'll come to know how to, because this steps are very repetitive wherever you do installing, running the command. These are very repetitive steps. Okay, so initially it will be difficult for you to remember all this, but once you start building things, this will be in back of your mind that yeah, there's a NuGet command which I need to run, and there's a NuGet restore, and when you just type NuGet, you'll automatically get the suggestion. That is the reason why we are using the plugin. Okay, now that was NuGet restore. This, yeah, anyone questions?
So how you can define that trigger pool v image, means it's the format to write the code
Yes,
or what?
yes. This trigger pool, this is the same format you'll be using. And now in the steps, you will get all your task, basically list of tasks. So this is the same format. There's no change in the format. The only thing this task, how do you remember how do you NuGet get installed? So basically, if you just do NuGet over here, you can come down and you see there's a NuGet installer. And if you do more control backspace, then you can see what exactly it does. Install or restore missing NuGet packages. This is what we want, correct? That's it. Same goes with NuGet command. Now, if you want to run NuGet restore, so this is basically a command which you want to run. So there's a NuGet command over here, and for restoring, this is restore solutions. And what you will restore? You'll restore your solution file, correct? So you're just mentioning your solution file over here. Okay. Now this is a wrong way. Basically, if you ask me, this is a wrong way of mentioning your solution file. So remember, we have something called ****. Okay. star star forward slash star. This is something we are using. Did we define something over here? In the solution, that is something in variables we have defined. We will talk about variables also, but this is how you will be defining if you want to call a solution file inside your YAML. What exactly it does? This is a wildcat character, correct? It will match anything ending with this ln. And what is this? Folder level. Hopefully everyone remember. This is folder level. It will go and check each and every folder and it will look for the solution file, basically. Correct? Are we good over here? Anyone, any questions? Why this star star forward slash star? Okay. Now the next task is the build task. What is the build? VS build we are using, correct? We are using a VS build over here. So I can have the same VS build over here. VS build, see, the first itself. VS build add, build with MS build and set the Visual Studio version property. Now this VS build, there are multiple inputs it's taking. What are the inputs? Firstly, it is taking the solution file name. It is taking the arguments. Platform and configuration, this is something, even though if you don't define it will take automatically. But for now, these are the two inputs, important inputs. Solution file and MS build argument. This is what it is taking. Okay. So I can have again as an input, because there are two inputs which I need to define. The first input is the solution file. I can have the same solution file defined over here also. The second is MS arguments, build arguments. Okay, I can have the same argument copy pasted. I can copy the entire thing under single quotes. I can do the copy paste. That's it. So your build is also ready. Next, what you got? You got some copy task. This task, copying files. I can also have tasks such as copy file. Now see, there are multiple copy at 1, copy at 2, copy file over SSH at 0. Which one to use it? I don't know. Let's go and read the description. Copy files from source folder to target folder using mini match pattern. Perfect. What is the second one? What is the second one? Copy files from a source folder to target folder using pattern matching file path. So the first one make more sense because we need to do pattern matching. What pattern matching I need to do? I need to go and have my YAML ARM templates files, correct? That is what we want. I want to have my ARM template files, correct? We can define that. Let's have this. What are the inputs in ARM templates you're defining? Basically, there are two inputs. What are the inputs? Let's go back. First, the source folder, the content, and the target folder. So I can have inputs, source folder. I can have the same thing as source folder over here. That what exactly, what matching I want to do? Contains. What is the content I got? I got star.json. Okay, and the inverted comma. Now, what else we have? We got target folder. Where do you want to put this? Target folder. Build artifact staging directory. Perfect. This is copy task now. Now you got the next, last but not the least, you got what? You got your publish folder, publish task. Okay, let's go and add the publish task. Publish artifact. Okay, let's have one more task over here. Publish. See, publish build artifact. If you read through it, publish build artifact to Azure pipelines or Windows file share. Or this is a different task. Publish build artifact. This is the same task. Okay, done. Again, it takes inputs. What are the inputs it's taking? Path to publish and artifact name. So this is path to publish. Input, sorry, I have not put inputs. Path to publish. Which path you want to publish to? This is the path. I have this over here. Artifact name. Artifact name, I'm putting it as a drop location. And then you got location, which location it is. Basically, the location is nothing but your Azure pipelines. Okay, so we call it as location, publish location basically. So publish location is nothing but your container over here, and this is under inverted comma. Drop. Done. Your build is ready. You got your trigger set. You got your pool set. You got your steps defined. NuGet install it. Will go and install NuGet, the latest NuGet. The second task will basically restore your package. Third task will basically build your solution. Fourth task will basically copy ARM template files. Fifth task will basically publish your artifact to your drop location. Are we good? Anyone, any question? Now, how do you remember? That's a big question, guys. This is with practice, definitely with practice, with experience, you'll remember. But most of the steps are very repetitive whenever you go and write build pipelines. These part is repetitive. You'll have trigger, you'll have pool created. These copy, like copy task and this publish task are repetitive. The only thing will change is this build, the way how you build. For .NET, you're using VS build. For Java, you may use Maven build. And for Angular, you may use NPM and things like that. Okay. So this part, this three things may change with application. What are the type of application you are using? But rest everything, the tasks will exactly remain same. What it will be? The task will remain same. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Anyone, any question before I go and check this out into my repository and start using it? Start running my build, a new build pipeline.
Yeah, while writing this code means, for example, in C++, we are start the program with the conio.h like that means, is there any way in this YAML script that we are starting the program like using the uh, proper syntax and ending with the means this is a format to write the code in YAML for each
Correct.
every code.
Correct. This is how you will be writing YAML. Now it's unlike your C++, Java. You don't have to have anything as such. You are not running this YAML on your local, because this is the format what Azure will accept. Okay, not just Azure. If you're running this YAML somewhere else also, this is a format they accept, and nothing else such like in C# or Java how you execute your uh, source code. You don't have to do it the same way over here. This is a basic syntax what it accepts. Now if you see, this is a list, this is key value, and these are list of tasks. Inside the list of tasks you got your dictionary, nested dictionary. That's it. This is this basic syntax you need to keep in mind, and it's very simple English. By seeing the file you know what exactly is happening right now. Okay,
Okay,
that
means
is
if we have any complex code, but means if we have run the complex code, but the means the code format remains same, it's not changing, means it's not adding some different syntax or some different values.
No, unlike JSON and XML, wherein you have multiple curly braces and things like that, I'll make this complex right now. So later, when we move further, like we got deployment also over here. Okay, when I add deployment stage, you will think that your YAML became complex, but that is not. This is the same format, same syntax. I'll just extend the YAML, and I'll have my this task also added over here. So yeah, this is answering to your question. This is what it will be going forward. Only thing is multiple more dictionary will be added, multiple more list will be added, multiple more nested dictionary will be added. That's it. Nothing apart from this. No other syntax, no other complex syntax, no other link values. Nothing as such will be there in YAML. YAML is very simple and easy to understand language. Okay, unlike Java or XML or ARM, the ARM template which we have written. So for someone who are not familiar with coding language, that becomes very complex, but YAML is very straightforward. Same funda I'll be using in and when we start with Ansible, you'll have same set of things you will find in Ansible also. Same set of things you'll find in your Kubernetes when we start writing YAML file in Kubernetes. So YAML is very simple everywhere. It's not that complex. Okay, hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. So now I have my build pipeline written. Now how do I push it? So I can make use of this terminal, guys. I'll open bash, git bash from here. So basically I'm using git console over here. Let the git console come up. Now if I run the command git status, we got one file to add. So I'll just do a git add, do a git commit, added YAML file. In my classic, I have defined variables also, correct? How do we define variables in YAML? Let's do that also while I do push. In classic, if you see, we got variables defined. One of the variables is the solution path. This is got defined over here, correct? How do I do it in classic? Sorry, in YAML, I can come down. At before step, you can have your variables defined over here. Variables. Now, what variables you want to define? Solution. What solution you want to define? I want to define something called star star forward slash star dot sln. If you want to give the complete path, even that is okay, guys, over here, the way we have given in a classic. But if you want to define it like this, and if you want to call this variable, how do we call variable? Dollar, open bracket, close bracket, solution, correct? This is how we call variable. Same way, where else I want to call this variable? There's one more place. Okay, over here. Okay, so this is how you will be defining variables inside your YAML file. Okay, you can define all variables over here, and then you can call the variables inside your YAML file. Okay, that's it. This is variable. Let me do a commit again because there's again a change I did. Updated variables. I'll be sharing this YAML also with you guys for practice, but make sure try to write this YAML from scratch by yourself. Let's do a git push. I got an error, failed to push. Anyone can can you tell me why this error is? What exactly this error is? Anyone?
Your remote branch and your local branch, they both have changes.
Yes, perfect. So my remote content have some changes which we need to pull first. Once you pull it, then you can do a push. Done. Now I can go and do a push. Perfect. Now if you see, I got my YAML over here. Okay. How do I use this YAML for creating a pipeline? Now the first time you need to go and create a pipeline. Now this time I will be using Azure because my YAML is there in my Azure repository. And this is the name of my application. See, as soon as I select my application repository name, automatically the YAML is popping up right now. Okay, automatically your YAML is popping right now. Now I just have to run it. That's it. If you have written the YAML, the hard work, you have already done it. That's it. You just have the YAML, select the YAML, and this will become a pipeline for you. Now the what Valaxy web app, this is the naming. You can change the name to whatever you want. But for now, this is using your YAML, you're running your build. Okay, your build is getting executed right now. Let's wait and watch if everything is good. If we have any error, anything as such, your build will fail. But I believe there's no error. But let's wait and watch. So we have written around 30 line of codes. So this is a simple, straightforward build pipeline which we are creating using YAML script right now. Beauty is your YAML become part of your repository. Whenever you want, you can just go and make changes to your YAML directly, and that will be integrated with your build pipeline. You don't need to come to build, come log into Azure DevOps for making changes. Your developer can easily get this on their local, make changes to their build, and they can push, and that will be implemented automatically now. See, your build is ready. 54 seconds, build is ready. See this, NuGet installer, you got NuGet command, you got VS build, and you have your copy files. The JSON file is getting copied, publish artifact, upload it to your drop location. Now let's go and see the drop location. Your drop location is right over here. Do you see you got your JSON file followed by the zip file? Now you're getting both the applications. So in this case, what you can do, you can define the path at the top. Like the way you're defining this over here, same way you can define a path. So by doing that, you will not get both the application build. Now let's rename this. Name it as DevSecOps build -YAML. Okay, so this is YAML, this is classic. Okay, understood guys? Any questions over here with your build? Not tomorrow? Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is weekend. So when we meet next on Monday, we'll do releases. Now releases is again a different topic. You need to, and there are different strategy of releases what YAML supports. Okay, like canary and all. So we'll need to understand those strategy first. What are the different strategies of deployment YAML supports? And then we'll go and convert this YAML. Now this is just we are defining steps. Now when we are doing a deployment also, so it becomes stages. So we need to convert this YAML into stages and have my deployment step added to it. Okay. So your YAML will become more complicated when we add those things. Make sure to go and practice this today itself and be very familiar with this syntax and everything. Okay. because when we start adding deployment stages and everything, it will be around 100 line of codes, minimum 100 line of codes. So things will be very complicated at that point of time, because we'll be adding deployment group, we'll be adding the deployment strategy, then we'll be adding the task, ARM task, then we'll be adding your web app deployment task. So there are so many things we'll be adding to this existing YAML file. So make sure to practice this thoroughly, because if you don't do it, later you'll have issues. Because when we next application, which what we will start is Java Maven, and in Java Maven we'll have multiple security features added. Your security features such as we'll be adding JUnit test, we'll be adding code coverage, we'll be adding static code analysis, we'll be including SonarQube break fail, and many things will be adding to the same YAML file. So okay, so your code will increase day in day out. Make sure to practice and keep yourself updated. Okay, that's it for me. If anyone has any question, please do let me know. Don't worry about this YAML. I'll be sharing this YAML along with the PPT of YAML. Everything will be shared with you guys. Okay, but if you have any questions, any doubt, please do let me know before we wind up the call for today. Anyone? Any doubt? Any questions? No one? In the whole session, only Prashant has doubt. Everyone is okay now? Victoria, Sirisha, Ken, Joss, are we good?
Yeah, this is Ken though.
I'm gonna have to watch the videos back because I'm slightly behind, but I get the concept.
Yeah, me too. So far it's good.
Yeah, practice will make you perfect, because without, let me tell you, if you don't practice for a couple of days, on the third day you'll forget everything. So it's better to practice whenever you get time. I'm not telling go and do it right away. Whenever you get free time, at least just spend 1 hour of your free time going through these topics, because what will happen after Azure DevOps, there are so many other tools also we are doing. Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker, Terraform, and we already did ARM, Git. So there are so many tools. Okay, and every tool has a different way of working. So yeah, it's definitely add confusion. I'm not denying on that. But if you keep on practicing at least daily 1 hour, then definitely once we are done with the course, you'll have a confidence to give interview. Okay, so make sure to practice, don't miss out on practice. And if there's any working sessions needed, you can let me know. We can have working session based on your practice. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. Let's meet up on Monday, and for US student mostly it's Sunday night, and let's continue with this topic. Okay, bye bye.